Hi, so today I'm going to be doing a digital painting of DC Comics Raven. Hi, my name is Escobar. I'm a storyboard artist on the Simpsons television show. I've been working on the show for over 25 years now, and I'm here to empower you. So I'm going to do a quick recap of my painting, my digital painting of Raven. I am going to talk very quickly in the video that I was using reference and the reference that I was using, but I just kind of before I begin, I just want to clarify a few things. I use Pinterest to come up with an idea of some sort for the pose. So I would look and look and look, and then when I found something that I liked, then I was like, that's the inspiration, something like this. And then I went and I started doing sketches and doodles about what in general I'm going to want to put down on paper. So that was the beginning. I didn't have any ideas for a pose, so that's what I did. And then once I got ideas for a pose, then I played around on the actual digital program and try to come up with something. And then once I did that, I used CG models to pose it out and then light it. And then after I used the CG models, from the CG models, I pushed even more when I drew it. So I would look at the CG models and then I would push it even more. I would exaggerate my drawing more than the model. One of the limitations that I really found, and I kind of talk about it in the video, but I talk about it too quickly, so is that there was a part where one of the pose was turning away and it was lit in a certain way, and I wanted to see the muscles of the neck and the collarbone. The problem was that in the CG models, the neck, when I turned the CG model, not only did it break the neck of the CG model, but it distorted the muscles. I used two different programs. In both programs, it distorted the neck muscles. It didn't work at all. So I ended up looking for reference online of people looking away like that. It was so dumb, because now I think about it, I could have just taken a picture of myself in that pose and then taken a picture, and it would have made my life so much easier. The only problem, of course, is that I also wanted the lighting to work. So if I wanted to take a picture of myself in that pose so that I could better see the lighting, I would have had to lit myself correctly and then done it, and it wouldn't have been that big a deal. And it's really dumb of me for not doing that. So I highly recommend not to do what I did and spend a whole lot of time looking for reference. Instead, just take a frigging picture of yourself and do it. It's so much easier. All right, so let's get started with the painting. All right, so I started just kind of roughing out a pose. I did go through Pinterest, and I looked at a lot of different poses just to get some kind of idea. And then when I did finally find something, I just kind of made it up. Then what I ended up doing was I have a program that I posed the thing out and lit it, and then and then I went back and finished up the drawing myself, but pushing even more the pose from even the way that I had posed it off on the CG model. And then, of course, I had to draw my hand to get the hand to look good. I did import some design of Raven over here on the left. You can see it, so that I kind of had something to work off of, so that I knew what her costume would look like, or what version of the costume I was going to draw. And then I started just drawing all this stuff, and again enhancing it. I did pose these things out in CG models so that I could light it. Then I added a texture so that I could start. This time around, I did put a selection layer so that I wouldn't paint outside the lines. When I did the Tifa painting, I did not do that, and it ended up kind of biting me in the butt, so I ended up doing it with this. And then I went in with the actual color. Using the regular pencil, like throughout the entire painting process for this, all I did was use the regular pencil from Clip Studio Paint. I did do I did a sloppy, rough line drawing. And because it was so sloppy and rough, I couldn't really use the line drawing as much as I thought I'd be able to. So anytime that there is an actual final line, like a line, I ended up having to recreate that line myself and do a tighter line. But I didn't really use too much line work in this. It's definitely more of a painting than anything else. I was intending to put more line work and have it be like a cross between a line drawing and a painting, and it's more of a colored drawing. But it turned out that I had roughed out the lines so badly, or so they were the line work was so rough that I ended up not even using any line work at all, and I just kept on painting as if it was it wasn't a drawing, a colored drawing. It was more of a final painting. Adding all the light work. I will eventually go in here and do a glow layer on everything, doing bounce light here, putting a gradient blue line, and then I'm putting all the glow layer judiciously so that it just pops out the light work. This hands down was the most difficult out of the two drawings. And mostly it was because she was wearing so much clothes. like the first one that I did, she's only wearing the one leotard and that's it, and it was really fast. But this this part here with the face was really difficult for me because of the way that it was that this model was lit. There isn't any really dramatic lighting on her face, and because I'm so used to harsh lights and darks, I had a hard time figuring out how to light her face because there wasn't any of that lighting. So if you saw that, I completely softened the snot out of the lighting so that it's actually more of a gradient than anything else. And then it turns out that that's the way to go. Like when a face isn't lit really dramatically, it works better just to have a gradient that goes from light to dark like an egg, and then just kind of hit a spot or two of light here and there. And then it worked. This part was also really difficult. Like this neck, collarbone area was so difficult. I used two different CG model programs, and it still didn't work. I ended up having to go look at photo reference of people turning away and the collarbone, and to try to get that to even look remotely right. More reference was required for that area. Like the CG models has failed. And again, but part of the problem with CG models and all of this stuff is really tough because CG models are not real skin. So you end up having to like reinterpret all the lighting on any CG model that you use because it doesn't have that translucency of skin, and you have to kind of like just get more information from having painted real human beings, and then just add that experience into reinterpreting any CG model that you're using to light your figures. And then this part is just painstaking and grueling. Like I just didn't want to do this bit. But fortunately for me, this was so dark that just the impression of the clothes here was good enough. But this was hands down, like again, the most difficult part. And then finally adding a little bit of glow layers, adding some blush, adding some bounce light, adding some gradients, just anything to make it feel a little bit more make it feel like it's skin, right? That was the trickiest part of all of that stuff. And then I added some darkness here and then made it all pop. And then after that was done, it's time to finish the books. I originally was going to put titles on these books, and then I decided I'll just leave it up to the people's imaginations what books these are. But supposedly the reason why the lighting was so difficult was because I was lighting for the books. In other words, where would the light have been if she was reading so that the books wouldn't, so she could read the books. That was really what it was. Finally added adding a little bit of extra color on the shadows here just to make the skin pop. And that's basically it. That's how I approach this. One of the things that I ended up adding to this at the end, and here's a little, and it worked pretty well, and that is that in the shadows, any part where there was a transition within the shadows, I saturated the color on the skin a little bit more so that it really felt more alive and popped. And I think that worked and that helped. There's lots of little areas in here that have very highly saturated areas, and I think that's what helps when working on anything remotely like this. So, and that's it. So if you like this video, like, subscribe. If you're interested in drawing and have no idea where to begin, or you can't draw yourself out of a paper bag, can't draw a straight line or a stick figure, I do have a course that will teach you to have the confidence needed to even just begin starting to draw, and give you and help you get to a point where you could actually start drawing yourself and start picking up drawing books so that they actually start making sense to you. So there's a link to that in the description of this video. If you like my work, please support me on Patreon. And thanks for watching, and I will talk to you next time. All right, bye.